Hello everyone, here's my review for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So we finally come to the end of our Shrek marathon, my brother and I, and this is, I think, definitively the best of any of them. Which is crazy to say, it's a sequel to a spin-off to a franchise that was already kind of dying, but the spin-off was way better than expected, and then the sequel to the spin-off ended up being even better than the spin-off. And it's just crazy to me, that they came back to this franchise after 11 years. I know there was, a Puss in Boots TV show, but they came back to this franchise cinematically after 11 years, I think. And Puss in Boots: The Last Wish managed to be as great as it was. For starters, I think this is genuinely one of the greatest works of animation ever put to screen. Visually speaking, this movie is practically flawless. The only very small complaint I have about it is that a lot of it is shot center frame, which I think is kind of a shame, but it's nowhere near as bad as movies these days that come out that are shot almost exclusively center frame, which is a whole separate conversation about how TikTok and vertical video has affected marketing. But other than that, this film is visually flawless. The colors are super vibrant. Stylistically, it pulls from the Spider-Verse films without feeling like it's directly copying them. Like it does the whole, slowing down the frame rate for the characters during action sequences to emphasize the action. But it's still a very visually different film. The character designs are all super memorable. This movie is just visually on a different level than most movies are. The voice acting also remains great. Antonio Banderas has always been fantastic in this role, and he continues to be. Selma Hayek is just as good as she was in the last film as well. Wagner Moura, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who plays the wolf, is incredibly intimidating, actually. Florence Pugh is solid as Goldilocks, and John Mulaney is one of those celebrity casts who you always recognize that it's him, but it's never distracting. And he is hilarious as Jack Horner. When it comes to the writing, again, I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is almost flawless. The one knock I have against it, and this is a really small personal complaint, but the first time I saw this, I saw it in theaters, and I hadn't even seen the first Puss in Boots movie. I wasn't watching this as part of the Shrek series because I hadn't seen any of them in years. But if there's one small thing that I miss from those films that I wish this film had, is that signature Shrek adult humor. Because I think that was part of the series' identity, and even in that first Puss in Boots film, you get quite a bit of it. And it's definitely toned back for this film. Which, again, is not necessarily a bad thing, because in a lot of ways, this evolves on what Shrek and that first Puss in Boots film were. And it feels somewhat like it's trying to become something new. And there are a few adult jokes here, but I found myself kind of missing the style of comedy that those Shrek films had. Again, that's a small, personal nitpick, though. In the grand scheme of things, The Last Wish has a great screenplay. The characters are impressively strong. They all have understandable goals that all intertwine with each other. And maybe one of the best things you can do for writing a protagonist is beat them down to a pulp, put them through hell, and force them to get that back up. And that's basically what this film does to Puss. This film forces him to feel fear for maybe the first time in his life. And at first he runs away, but we can understand that. But over the course of the film, he builds himself back up, and by the end, it's so powerful to watch him sort of proclaim his newfound appreciation for life and his friends in the face of a villain that before scared him so bad that he couldn't even see straight. That's powerful character writing. The wolf, though, I should add, is equally well written. Death is a fantastic antagonist, one of the more intimidating antagonists in animated cinema. He's designed to teach Puss the lesson he needs to learn. Of course, Death is not the only antagonist in the movie, though. Jack Horner is a delight on screen. He's hilarious. And if the three antagonists are three different facets of evil, you could say, Death is more of a force of nature. Jack Horner is the pure evil, irredeemable antagonist. And Goldilocks is the understandable antagonist. And the fact that the film manages to fit all of those three in without any of them feeling underdeveloped, and without Puss or Kitty or Perito feeling underdeveloped, is incredibly impressive. And it does all of that in an hour and 40 minutes. And the pacing is pitch perfect. It is fast, but it's not too fast. Yeah, The Last Wish is a really impressive piece of screenwriting. The action is also super cool. I obviously mentioned the style of it earlier, but it's so exciting, especially Puss's final battle against the wolf. So with that, I'm going to give Puss in Boots: The Last Wish a 9 out of 10. It's definitely the best of this series. I think it's up there as maybe one of the best animated movies of all time. Definitely one of the best animated movies this decade. So even if you've never seen any of the Shrek movies or the first Puss in Boots movie, I highly, highly recommend you watch this film. But that's it for this review. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all your support on all of these video reviews, but I'll talk to you all in the next one.